Hey guys, Ron here, and over the last year I've made a couple of videos where I create original Pokemon based on various video game characters, but before I give you the next part in that series, I thought it would be nice to switch it up a bit and create some Pokemon based on popular anime characters. After all, I'm way more of an anime fan than a gamer. It's an actual interest of mine, so it'll be a pleasure to translate some of mine and your favorite characters into Pokemon. Keep in mind, the types and concepts of these Pokemon aren't gonna literally be the same as their inspiration. Just because I'm making a Luffy Pokemon, that doesn't mean it's gonna be a humanoid pirate. I want to create separate believable Pokemon that have unique concepts based on their origin. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and leave a like if you enjoy this video. And let me know which anime character I should turn into a Pokemon and how. The first character we're going to turn into a Pokemon is Naruto. Now keep in mind, there's going to be spoilers for all the characters that we're talking about. But other than Goku, I think Naruto really is the most recognizable shonen protagonist in the West. And to be clear, shonen is any manga or anime that is aimed at younger males, which is pretty much most mainstream anime. Now, Naruto is a franchise that I'm a huge fan of, and Naruto is a character that is easily translatable into a Pokemon because he's associated with an animal, fighting style, and iconic moves. Even a color and type. He's a ninja with a nine-tailed fox inside of him who uses shadow clones and wind-style jutsu. He lives in the land of fire and is always wearing orange. So we're gonna make a multi-tailed fox ninja Pokemon. But here's the thing. There are already multiple fox Pokemon based on the Kitsune and Kyubi no Kitsune of Japanese mythology. So it'll be tough to not create a Pokemon that looks too much like Ninetales or Zoroark or Braixen. But it'll be pretty much an amalgamation of these three. I'm gonna avoid making it a dark type since Naruto is heroic and noble. But I'm gonna make it part flying because I want to see more Pokemon who are flying types because they have mastery of air and wind. So this Pokemon will use flying type moves and will breathe fire like Kurama and cloak itself in burning chakra. It'll be very unavoidable for this Pokemon to end up in furry territory since we're making a bipedal fox, but it'll be tasteful. The dude's already got a Pokemon inside of him, so it'll look natural. Okay, so I'm basically going to sketch the proportions of an upright fox with big forearms and 5 tails, because 9 is too many and literally what Ninetales is. Friendly canine face. I'm going to give it a headband pattern that extends to the ear hole, kind of like how Kurama's ear holes extend to his eyes. Some spiky hair to finish off the look. It'll be tough to naturally incorporate Naruto's whiskers, specifically the cheek patterns he has in his 6-path Sage mode, since those are more visible. I gave him a thick coat of fur on his chest to simulate his jacket, and some flowing locks that look like his headband. Finalizing the form before adding the rest of his details. Throughout the process, I'm going to try to incorporate those Uzumaki spirals, huge paws, because he'll look like a human if I gave him smaller arms and hands. I thought 5 tails was too cluttered, so he now has 3. A good compromise. At this point, I thought the design was finalized here, but when I gave him Naruto's signature colors, I realized how empty the bottom half was, so I added white to balance it all out, and gave it the patterns of Naruto's shuriken holster. It matches the stripes on its face too. Off screen, I made the tail white as well. Check out Orinja, the Fire Shadow Pokemon, a fire flying type. Now, Naruto's goal since childhood was to become the leader of the Leaf Village's ninjas, whose title is Hokage, which literally means Fire Shadow. This Pokemon hides in the shadows before striking. It can create clones made of fire to overwhelm the opponent and finish the foe off with a spinning ball of wind and chakra. This Pokemon is able to manipulate and sense chakra, a spiritual energy akin to aura. It can extend its tails and use them to attack its foes. Orinja is incredibly acrobatic and can use wind to propel itself around. It is skilled in the art of stealth, but is eager and impatient, which often leads it to jump into situations without thinking. Nothing motivates Orinja more than saving its friends and keeping peace. It'll often become friends with its enemies and gain the full support of its allies. When friendship is not an option, it will cover itself in burning fire and begin to fly at an incredible speed in order to land a finishing blow. Its signature move, Spiral Sphere, is a flying type special move with 90 base power, with 95% accuracy, and may cause flinching. Basically a stronger air slash based on the Rasengan. His abilities are Flame Body, Guts, and Prankster. Also, his shiny is based on 6-path Sage mode. I love this guy. I'm very attached to Naruto, so I'm glad I can finally give him some representation on my channel. This is a cute and cool Pokemon I'm sure would be as popular as Pokemon like Zoroark and Lucario. Its color scheme is so inviting and its personality really appealing. I know it's fairly humanoid and detailed for a Pokemon, but this series will need to push the boundaries of what a Pokemon can be in order to be faithful to the original character's nature. Now we're going to transform Luffy into a Pokemon. As the protagonist of the best-selling manga in history, this will be a little bit daunting. I don't want to mess up, especially since I just started watching One Piece and kind of have to spoil myself in order to make this Pokemon. Now, Monkey D. Luffy will be a monkey in Pokemon form, with stretchy limbs. It's very straightforward. Luffy's a very minimally designed character with simple goals, so there's not much to work with. The most iconic part of his design is the straw hat, and hats are tough to incorporate into Pokemon designs, but I'll try my best. This Pokemon won't be a pirate or anything because water type won't make sense for a character that can't swim, and no part of Luffy's design really will make the Pokemon look like a pirate. It'll just be a general brawler, partially based on Luffy's various gears like Gear 4th. The pose was very simple. It's a cartoony monkey, so I didn't have to get too detailed. It has a big inflated arm that he'll punch you with. The difficult part was giving it ears that mimicked the brim of a straw hat, or so I thought. I gave him some fur that mimics Luffy's vest, but soon realized that keeping Luffy's iconic smile is kind of the most difficult part when you're also incorporating Luffy's beady eyes. It makes the Pokemon look creepy, so I decided to give him more of a monkey brow with eyes based on Gear 4th and a normal mouth to balance out the creepiness. Now he looks ready to fight. I gave it a pattern on its forehead that, when colored, will aid in making his head look more like a straw hat, a scar mark, and some more fur to mimic Luffy's rolled up pants. If you noticed, his leg is also stretched out, refining everything before giving him a tail to resemble Luffy's belt and fingers, because he needs those to firmly grasp things. The colors were basically Luffy's colors, but shifted around to look less like clothes and a bit darker to look more natural. The yellow fur on its head is the finishing touch. Here is Arbor Rubber, from Arboreal, which describes any animal that lives in trees, and Rubber, a fighting-type Pokemon. Arbor Rubber dream of becoming the king of their territory. Throughout their life, they gather a crew of other Pokemon in order to help realize their dreams. They will fight to defend their friends and innocent Pokemon. They do so by extending their rubber-like arms, along with contorting, expanding, and deflecting projectiles. Arbor Rubber can inflate themselves by breathing in air. They're incredibly durable and limber. Their feats are constantly met with admiration from their friends and submission by their foes. They are most motivated by food, however. They will even get into deep trouble just to get a bite. They rarely think before acting, and dislike those who don't have the courage to act. They're fearless to a fault as a result of their abilities, which are limber, pressure, and justified. The shiny is even closer to Gear 4th's color scheme. I thought pressure was a good representation of his haki. It was very hard coming up with the traits for this Pokemon since Luffy is basically insane and does anything really. I'm very glad I was able to find a design that incorporated so much of Luffy's physical traits without it looking like straight up Luffy. Next we'll do a recent hit, Anya from Spy Family. In just a few episodes, Anya has become an icon. This orphan is adopted by a spy and assassin and must climb the ranks of a prestigious private school. She gets into wacky hijinks because of her psychic powers, so again, this Pokemon's type will be easy to discern. Her literal two powers are telepathy and making the funniest faces. She's a simple girl who gets excited by missions and peanuts. So I'm gonna turn her into a psychic elephant. A little baby psychic elephant. They're already associated with intelligence and circus peanuts, so her hair will perfectly translate into an elephant ear, and her uniform will be a good inspiration for various accents. This will be the cutest thing ever. Originally I made this abomination of a bipedal elephant, but this has to go. It's basically a baby elephant with horns that mimic Anya's hair ornaments and floppy elephant ears to mimic Anya's hair. It'll be on all fours. It's way cuter that way. I'm trying to give it the proportions of a starter. I added this bow-like ornament and tail before finalizing the proportions. I gave it a design on its front feet and horn that looked like the design that Anya has on her uniform sleeves, but also like the nails of an elephant. It's as pink as can be, with a darker body to emulate Anya's garb. I noticed her trunk looked empty now, so an added stripe helps remedy this problem, but also makes her face look hypnotic, like a psychic type should be. Say hi to Telephant, the excited Pokemon, based on Anya's catchphrase. They use their telepathy to solve problems, but often get into trouble from the paranoia that arises when they know too much. They do not yet have full control of their abilities and will become stressed in crowded spaces, as they can hear the thoughts of those around them. Despite this, Telephant are optimistic and friendly. They're incredibly impressionable and will admire their friends and trainers. They are very clever and will try to help their friends without them even knowing. Their horns amplify and project their psychic powers. And Telephant values peace and have lofty goals of helping everyone, but they lack the ability to focus. They have terrible coordination and will often charge at others without hitting their target. They love peanuts, so Telephant trainers are urged to stock up on them. They are motivated by the reward of their favorite snack. They have the ability Telepathy and hidden ability Infiltrator, as a nod to Anya's love of spies and knack for getting into wacky situations. This was such a fun translation. I love her ears and cute trunk. I'm glad the horns make sense too, and that I was able to incorporate her uniform in a natural way. A pink elephant is already an existing trope, so this feels like a Pokemon Game Freak can already create. Finally for today, we'll be turning the protagonist of my favorite anime franchise into a Pokemon. the Full Metal Alchemist himself, Edward Elric. So again, the literal alchemist of steel will be steel type. Ed's insecurity about his height is a major incentive for creating a very tiny Pokemon. A little angry sprite made of steel that can deconstruct and reconstruct matter. Like a nature fairy, but for the city. It'll look angry but is actually very helpful. Now in this show, Ed is an alchemist prodigy in a world where alchemy is a science, so this will be a very intelligent Pokemon. I'm just making a little imp with knives for hands. He's ready for a fight. I wanted to turn Ed's hair into an antenna, and I gave it this cloak that drags on the ground. He's very irritable. I gave him actual hands and thought 2 antennas would be funny. Perhaps he could be a bug, and then his cape could be wings, but I kinda need this dude to be a steel type as well as another type that could represent alchemy, like psychic or fairy, so there was no room for the bug type. But I realized at this point that this armor-like facial design looks pretty rad, almost like a chess piece, like a full metal rook. He looks like a heroic knight with the little feather on the top of the helmet. After finalizing the proportions, his color scheme was modeled after the clothes Ed wears in later arcs, so I could introduce a little blue. Here is Alchemini, the full metal Pokemon, a steel fairy type. These rare Pokemon can be found in urban environments, collecting materials for their transmutations. They have the ability to deconstruct and reconstruct matter into materials of equal mass and value. Alchemini are sought after by those with greedy hearts, who wish to use Alchemini for their power. But Alchemini only use their powers for those with pure hearts. They seem immature and stubborn, but are incredibly strong-willed and intelligent. They have vast knowledge of the nature of how things are constructed. They are able to find the weakness of their opponents and will exploit it. They are quick-tempered and despise being thought of as small. Alchemini will do all they can to correct mistakes and repay those that they have harmed. They are very skilled in hand-to-hand combat and can manipulate the elements at will. They can retract their steel blades and will learn from those that they have battled. Alchemini has the abilities Power of Alchemy, Battle Armor, and Steely Spirit. His shiny is modeled after Ed's final outfit and Hohenheim. This Pokemon fits the aura of Ed to a T. He's adorable yet fiery. I love those kind of Pokemon. I'd easily put him on my team, and I hope you easily enjoyed this video enough to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Consider becoming a patron or clicking the join button to get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early and a huge discount on the t-shirts I made for you guys. Follow me on Twitter where I post sneak peeks and final art of my designs. Bye!